Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you today, September 28th. It is Wednesday in the morning, and we want to talk to you about something rather important. The Nord Stream 1 pipeline. It is a major factor for energy in Europe. It affects gas prices, oil prices throughout the entire world. It has a major impact, and it has been damaged. Now, there are three prevailing views on this. The United States did it, Russia did it, or it was a natural event. We would pose that there may be another answer to it, an answer that Occam's razor would suggest. Now, we'll talk about that in just a moment, but before we get started, we do want to mention that if this is the first time that you are seeing our channel, we welcome you. We thank you for being part of our audience. We want you to know that we do long-form political commentary on this channel. And every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you. We reach out on all the social media that the internet overlords will allow to be able to hear your voice about all of these issues that affect every single one of us across the world. We look forward to hearing from you on your chat, your tweets, and even in phone calls to tell us how these events are affecting you and what you think the conclusions will be. We hope that you will join us every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to add your voice to the conversation on these important issues. Did the United States or Russia or a natural event damage Nord Stream 1? It's a big deal. It's a very difficult question. Now, we propose that Occam's razor will provide the probable best answer to that. For those who are not familiar, Occam's razor, in the most simple of terms, is a principle. It is sometimes called the law of economy or the law of parsimony. It essentially is an idea that came about in 1285 and has been often quoted. It boils down to the most simple solution is often and most commonly the correct answer. So what does Occam's razor say about this? Well, let's understand the issue at first. The reason why Nord Stream 1, which many people may or may not be aware of, is important is because it is a pipeline of natural gas going from Russia into Europe. It provides a great deal of the energy that Germany needs to provide for its people, both in heating and for its businesses, as well as much of the rest of Europe. So we've seen over this summer in 2022 that Russia has, for several times now, shut down the Nord Stream pipeline, which has created a great deal of difficulty for the German economy, thus affecting the EU, the United Kingdom, and also the United States. It's driven up prices of energy across the entire globe. This has benefited certain countries, like in OPEC, and it has hurt other countries, like the United States, which is no longer energy independent under the Biden-Harris administration. This is a big deal. It's one of the reasons why we have seen that in the United States, one of the key pressures on inflation is the cost of energy. It's gone up some 60% and is looking to continue to go higher as the United States goes deeper into a recession and the rest of the globe acknowledges and continues to be in a deeper recession. Many of the analysts across the globe are looking at this lasting until 2024. This is a big deal. In fact, we see most recently, taking a look at Bloomberg News, Europe energy crisis to last more than a winter. Analysts are saying that they expect that this is going to be going beyond the 2022 winter and well into 2023. Amrita Sen, a chief oil analyst and an industry consultant, told Bloomberg Television that this is not a one-winter story. The invasion of the Ukraine by Russia has upset the world global markets. But the problem already existed long before this. Long before Russia ever took a step into Ukraine, we had already seen energy prices increasing, in part because the United States became a energy dependent nation. This is a direct consequence of the Biden-Harris administration shutting down the XL pipeline, restricting leases, both on searching for oil and gas, as well as being able to develop any of those searches off those oil and gas leases. These are facts. There are no questions about this. And this has caused many problems. There are many nations that are looking at drastic measures to try and address this cost. We have recently spoken about one of those factors when we talked about whether or not the Swiss will be jailed for heating their homes in 2022. If their temperature exceeds 19 degrees or roughly about 66 degrees Fahrenheit, then it may be that some Swiss will be either arrested, fined, possibly even jailed. This is from September 13th from Swiss Info as a fact check. And the most important thing to take from this is not the fact that they said that this is a false claim, but why did they call it a false claim? Because the law has not been enacted. It is proposed. It is under consideration. It is something that is actively being discussed at this moment. This is something that may in fact happen this year in Switzerland. And considering that, Nord Stream 1 is vital and has a direct impact on global energy prices. It has a direct impact on inflation, the global recession. It has an impact on the war, as energy is a proxy weapon being used and wielded both by the United States and NATO in support of Ukraine, as well as by Russia against those forces. We're not trying to tell you which side is the good side. Both nations are corrupt and have many, many issues. That's not for us to discuss today. But what is the impact? We have seen over yesterday and today that once Nord Stream 1 was damaged, having a leak of gas that has taken up a kilometer, roughly over a mile of space in the ocean from this leak, making it very difficult to fix. The likely result will be that Nord Stream may be shut down, definitely reduced in its capabilities to provide energy for Europe, which will have an impact on the cost of goods in Europe, the cost of energy in Europe, which will be transferred to goods in the United States thanks to the Obama-Biden administration, furthering the increase in inflation and deepening the recession that we believe will last until 2024. Who did this? Who wins from this scenario? It's a difficult question. We see, and as I just showed you, there are many people who are saying, well, it was the United States that did this. And in fact, you can go to Tim Pool, who made a comment about it yesterday and has now been released today. And he is discussing it may well have been the United States. There are many people who have said, and this is confirmed and been stated by individuals in Poland. A former Polish defense minister has stated that he believes that the United States had taken this action to fight against Russia. Now, of course, Russia itself has said pretty much the exact opposite, that they believe that this was an action by the United States. And as a consequence of this and other actions, over the last 2 hours, the United States has been urging anyone in the U.S. Embassy to leave Russia as tensions are increasing, because Russia is annexing the eastern portion of Ukraine and the southern portions of the Ukraine, stating that this is now part of the Commonwealth of Independent States, the new version of the USSR, and that they will defend those territories up to and including nuclear weapons. And this is something that has upset many of the world. And we see the Ukraine is asking the countries in the world, especially those that have been neutral, to take a stand. Tensions are getting higher. Now, we have long said that the war of the Ukraine versus Russia is a proxy war. It has been a proxy economic war, and part of that economic battle has been energy. This is increasing. Now, with Russia annexing those lands, it is becoming an even hotter situation. The question comes to, who will benefit? Who has the greatest benefit? Often, when we look at actions on an international scale, nations take actions for their own benefit, both short-term and long-term. And thus, any action, especially during a wartime, whether it's a Cold War, a hot war, whether it's an economic proxy war, the actions that are being taken as to what is the greatest benefit for any particular nation. Let's take the position as presented by Tim Pool. The United States did this to harm Russia. If this is the case, and again, we don't know, but if it is the case that the United States sabotaged Nord Stream 1, what is the benefit to the United States? Energy prices would increase. On the short term, it is increasing inflation and is increasing the cost of goods, thus imbalancing the global economy, making a recession that we are already in even deeper and even more damaging. But as expected in the United States, the November 2022 elections will see a transition in Congress to a conservative, if not Republican, leadership going into 2023 as the consequences of the energy crisis, of the economic policies of the Biden-Harris administration and Democrats, as well as progressives, continues to damage the nation. Well, in 2023, Republicans would take the blame for all of that. And that may affect the 2024 presidential election and offset the many negatives that have been experienced by the Biden-Harris administration, especially since we believe that the 25th Amendment will be used against Joe Biden by Democrats to install Kamala Harris as the seat of the White House and thus place a woman and a woman of color into the Oval Office, which will be their main message and reason for Democrats to win in 2024. You may or may not agree with that. But that is an intermediate reason for the United States to damage Nord Stream. The potential to win a presidential election, to continue to hold sway over the most powerful seat of government in the world. That's one point of view, and that is one reason. It also damages the reputation of Russia, making them look even worse, even more of the bad guys in the conflict between the Ukraine. And it would enable many nations that are neutral to support NATO, to support the United States in trying to support the Ukraine in their war to try and push back against Russia, as well as to increase and continue sanctions that have not been working, but to continue them until a time where they may have a greater impact on the Russian economy, and therefore, in that proxy war, present an opportunity for a win. So that's the short-term gain for the United States. Long-term, the answer is kind of vague. Some could say that on a progressive outlook, it does increase the impetus for green energy to seek alternative means that are not effective and have shown to be non-effective throughout the world. Germany is a great example. They moved from nuclear energy and gas towards green energy, and their overdependence on that green energy has not resulted in them being able to survive without Russian gas. That's just the reality of the situation. But again, politically, in the United States, we could see the climate movement try and use this to say, well, this is a great reason. The cost of energy has skyrocketed. Let's move to more solar plants, more wind energy, which has not been effective, but it will give people the hope that eventually, at some point in the future, it would be. So that's the argument for the United States having caused this. Looking at the argument for Russia having done this, well, it would be a false flag attack. It would be something that they could blame on the United States because Joe Biden, earlier in, I think it was in February of 2022, made statements that can be inferred as to the United States taking this action. We have many individuals who are pointing to the fact that over the summer of 2022, the United States warned NATO and the world that there could be attacks against the Nord Stream pipeline. This is something that Russia is proposing and saying, well, that was the United States forewarning this, that they were setting this up to try and blame Russia and to give themselves an excuse, but also to prepare their allies for this eventuality. But what does Russia gain from this? Well, there's an increase in the cost of oil and gas, and they export oil and gas. So they would financially benefit, offsetting the sanctions that are being used against them, as has been the case throughout the entire year. It doesn't really lose there. It allows Russia to continue to send oil and gas to China, which is an affront to the United States and our Western allies, supporting China and enabling China to continue its economic battle against the United States. They also get to point to the United States as being bad guys, something that the progressive movement has been enforcing in our educational system for some time. It allows Russia to say that the United States is again being a bad actor, that they are damaging their own allies in an effort to win a war, a proxy war, and to be able to win this. And it also points to the bad planning of the Biden-Harris administration, not considering the long-term consequences or any consequences to their own allies and their own people in an effort to have a political win. So that's the false flag argument. It also allows Russia to deny energy to Germany, which has been supporting the Ukraine. Earlier in the summer, they said they had to fix and maintain the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. And for an extended period of time, they shut down the Nord Stream pipeline, denying energy to Europe and Germany in particular. New development, the damage to the Nord Stream, would enable Russia to continue to do this, again with another excuse, a manufactured excuse, and thus trying to break the sanctions to have them demand and need the Russian oil at higher prices. These are the simple answers. And both have some valid points. Yes, the United States could have done it. Yes, Russia could have done it. Yes, these are reasons why the United States or Russia would do this. But we would point again to Occam's razor and say, there may be a more simple solution. That there is an outside party that was more interested in doing this, that has more to gain than either the United States or Russia. What country could that be? Looking at the geopolitical landscape, there aren't many nations that gain from the depriving of energy on a global level or increasing the tensions between Russia, the United States, and Europe. One nation that does gain from all of that is Iran. Now, this is something that no one else is speaking about, and it is speculation on our part, but it seems to make sense. Iran wants to destroy Europe, Israel, the United States. They have declared this for almost 50 years now, stating they want death to these other outside groups, all nations that do not believe exactly what they believe. Iran is the leader of global terror in the world and has been for multiple decades. And they engage in acts of global terrorism on a regular basis. And this is all done to promote their form of Islam, their religious ideology, and trying to impose it on other parts of the world. The more chaos that exists in the United States or in Europe is to their benefit. Anything that damages the relations of the United States with the rest of the world is to their benefit. Anything that enables them to be able to to strengthen their economy is to their benefit. And they have had conversations and are somewhat allied with Russia and China. Not so much politically, because none of those nations are allied in their political outlook, but they are unified in their efforts to destroy the United States and Europe and to minimize the impact and power of the United States as well as Europe. In that, each of those nations are on the same page. For Iran, anything that destabilizes the world and makes America look bad increases the cost of energy for Europe and the United States and emboldens their somewhat ally in Russia is good for Iran. Iran also being able to sell their oil, mostly to China, at a higher price is good for the Iranian economy. So they benefit there. So economically, this is in their benefit. Geopolitically, this is in their benefit. Iran also has the Iran nuclear deal. Now, this is something that we've been speaking about. And we've been following what's been happening with Iran for many, many, many years. We have told you many times that the Iran nuclear deal is a very negative outcome. It is not in the best advantage of the United States or the world. The Iran nuclear deal will, as it has in the past, according to John Kerry, the then Secretary of the Obama-Biden administration, it effectively makes the United States a sponsor by funding Iran and its efforts at global terror. But the Iran nuclear deal is something that is continuing to be renegotiated. It was ended by the Trump administration, but since the day that the Biden-Harris administration took office, they have actively been pursuing the Iran nuclear deal. They want to bring it back. And we see that even as of September 25th, Iran says that the United States has in its interest, it wants this deal still. The United States, throughout the last 19 months, has been providing more and more lifting of sanctions for Iran to be able to have conversations and to try and move this deal forward. That is a fact. Iran is winning in these negotiations by simply resisting to say yes, because they've received more and more concessions just to have the conversation. They've been winning in this. The worse the political situation is for the Biden-Harris administration, the more desperate they become to have a win. We have seen this and we have discussed this in many videos over the last 18 months. The Biden-Harris administration have nothing positive to point to, which is the reason why in the 2022 midterm elections, it is expected to be a landslide for the Republican conservative movements. That Democrats cannot point to any of their policies, their plans, their overarching view that has had a benefit, and therefore the Biden administration is trying to latch on to anything and everything that could possibly be spun as a positive. And we have heard them repeatedly state that the economy is fantastic, that the economy is in good shape, regardless of how much people are spending when they go to the store and see the increases in prices in their pockets. So for Iran, not only is this economically beneficial by increasing the cost of oil and gas, Not only does it help their sometimes ally, Russia, not only does it weaken Europe and the United States, but it also helps them in their negotiations geopolitically and thus increase the need of the United States to make the Iran nuclear deal happen. Their desperation for that positive affirmation of their ability of the Biden-Harris administration to make a deal that will, quote, make the world safer and deny Iran nuclear weapons, something that is a relatively universal desire, well, that's something they can wield, something that is in their benefit. So the worse the United States looks, especially on a geopolitical level, the better it is for Iran. Perhaps it's too simple. Maybe it doesn't take into account all of the geopolitical factors. But again, we're looking at this from Occam's razor. Who has the most benefit? Now, you could also say that, well, it would be China. China would be willing to do that. Except most of the influence of China is restricted to Southeast Asia. They're allowing North Korea to use hypersonic missiles to threaten South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan. China is already engaged in an economic war with the United States because China produces many of the goods that the United States is purchasing. And they only need to slow down production in China to disrupt the supply chain in the United States, driving up costs, increasing inflation, increasing the depth and length of a recession. They've done that in the past. They're continuing to do that currently. They don't need any additional actions from their part to destroy or reduce the impact of the United States on a global stage. Plus, they don't necessarily get a direct, immediate benefit. It's not their sphere of influence. They can't easily reach the Nord Stream 1 pipeline, nor is it going to necessarily improve the situation that they have, where they already have the upper hand, according to many economists and analysts around the world. North Korea doesn't have the means to effectively affect the Nord Stream pipeline. Again, this is something that their sometimes ally, Russia, controls. So it's negative against that impact. North Korea doesn't have enough impact on the United States. It doesn't advance their goals, especially if they're known to have done it. They don't have the infrastructure to silently make this action happen. So again, we're looking at this from Occam's razor. Most other nations in the world either do not have the resources, the capabilities, or the benefit to be able to do this. And OPEC, while it does benefit them, again, lack the resources to make this possible. So it very quickly makes this either Europe has done it, again, that would be the same as the United States to some extent, except they are more negatively impacted by the reduction of oil and gas that they desperately need for the 2020-2023 winter period. And they're in recession now. It would only harm them more. The United States could feasibly do this. They've made the statements and they've made the projections globally that would hint that they would do this. Russia equally has reason to do this as a false flag event. But again, the negatives don't really benefit them. The only nation we see that has an overall net benefit on a geopolitical level as well as an economic level is Iran. A nation that no one is looking at because no one is expecting Iran to ever want to do this. But again, Iran is known for its terrorist action. It's not that much of a leap to say that Iran, that is experienced and capable with global terrorism, would take this action as part of its global terror outreach. And it improves all of Iran's efforts, geopolitically, internally, and economically. Is it possible that this was just a natural event? Yes. The Nord Stream pipeline has been existing for a long time. It is under constant pressure from the ocean, from the deterioration of pipes, lack of maintenance. There are reasons why it could be a natural event. But given the geopolitical environment, considering the interactions and proxy wars that are ongoing, considering the benefits to various nations, it just doesn't seem like it's just a natural event. The timing is too opportune. Again, with Occam's razor, the simplest answer is correct. This just naturally happened. The timing is irrelevant to the geopolitical situation, the wars and proxy wars that are going on. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a lack of maintenance and overall time and pressure causing a leak. We tend to believe that this is an international event. And if that is correct, if it is not nature, then the most likely culprit is actually Iran. We tend to think that that might be correct. What do you think? We'd like to hear. Do you think we've got it right? Does it make sense? Is there a better reason why Russia or the United States would have done this? Is there any reason why Iran couldn't have done this? And as always, every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we look forward to hearing what you have to say about all of these issues and everything that's on your mind. I know you've heard it before. What difference does it? You make the difference. When you watch, chat, tweets, your likes and shares, and your subscription, you make the difference. From across the world, you help us to keep the lights on and the stream alive. You are making the difference to fight the woke and the crazy legislation that we see before. We at No Soundbites Allowed, and I want to thank you for everything that you do in helping us reach our goal, and your likes, your tweets, your comments, and your subscriptions to the channel. We want to thank you from the bottom of our heart. And this is a special thank you to those who have donated to the channel and helped us in all of our efforts. We will strive to make this channel the best that we possibly can, because you deserve no less. Thank you.